Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am once again joined by the amazing Joe Rosing. Joe, how you doing today, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on again.
It is an honor to have you back. For those of you that don't know, if you didn't catch the Desperate Souls interview, you need to check that out anyway. And the link for that is down in the description right now. But I was able to talk to Joe then. And for those of you that don't know, I'm going to let you catch up on who Joe is a little bit. He is an actor and model, best known for his roles in Welcome to the Game, Flesh Fire, and the upcoming new films, like I just said, Desperate Souls and The Blood Moon. Now, acting obviously is a part of you, but it is one of those parts that we always love to talk about. So, how did you get introduced into acting, and what is it like for you being all these titles under your belt now?
How I got introduced to it, I actually used to work at a gym, and this like 4 years ago, as a matter of fact. One of the people that came in my gym used to be a model from over in Poland, and then she insisted, like another friend, a good friend of mine, who was just like do this as well. I'm like, no. I do want to do it, but no. So she literally took me over to one of the school over at Giant Casablancas. I went there. I liked it. I don't care what anybody says. I really loved it there. I got enrolled there. I got my first acting gig there. I got my first modeling gig there. That was for Sexy Hair. And it's just been. The only regret I had was not doing it earlier on in my teens, like I was told to. And
Right.
it's I wouldn't trade it for the world.
And it's awesome that you did, man, because you're doing the things that you're doing now. Now we know a little bit about Desperate Souls, but The Blood Moon, obviously you can't talk too much about it. It's a movie that's in production right now, but what a little bit can you tell us about The Blood Moon?
Uh, it's a horror film, and it's a feature film. Uh, I'll be working again with another cast member from Desperate Souls from there, Sarah Dolan. So we'll be working together again then.
Okay.
Uh, it's got vampires in there, and it's really the only thing I can think of.
Right. Yeah, because I don't want you getting in no trouble, man. But the best way to stay up to date on what Joe's doing, and as well as the releases of Desperate Souls, The Blood Moon, things like that, is to follow him on social media. And I have those links down in the description below. So make sure that you're giving him a follow on social media so you can stay up to date on everything he has coming up for us. But not just acting, modeling as well. You've done parts modeling, print modeling, runway, brand ambassador, web commercials. Obviously, good looking guy. So when it comes to doing modeling, would you rather do, of all the types of modeling you've done, what is your favorite type of modeling to do?
Well, thanks for saying good looking guy. I actually have makeup on right now from yesterday. They didn't wash off.
You look just as good without it, so don't feel bad.
My favorite type of ones to do, I actually do like doing print. I've done that a couple times. I really like that more because it's more tangible. It's more in your face. My favorite gig that I ever got was my very first one, like I said before, Sexy Hair, because I use their products a lot. And so it's kind of like it was a real honor to have them use me as their model at the American Beauty Show in Chicago back in 2019. And I did commercial print too. That was also fun too, mostly just print work.
Right.
I parts modeling is okay, but sometimes it's kind of like, well, I've done enough hair gigs already.
Right. Well, what I
But
like about it is what you were just saying about when you work for a company that you use personally. Like I've gotten to work with like Dead Sled Coffee, which is a coffee I genuinely drink. When you get to do that, I feel like it means more to you because this is a product that you truly, truly believe in.
Oh yeah. That's why I was so excited about it. And I never use that word excited because I don't get excited about a whole lot of stuff. It's just my personality. You can give me $1 million and I'll be like, oh, well, thanks a lot.
That's awesome, man. Oh yeah, that's pretty kind of you. So I know I got to ask you the big question, and if you don't want to answer it, I get it because I don't think I could answer it either. Because I'm the opposite of you. Every single tiny thing excites me. You could give me $158, and I would be screaming at the top of my lungs with excitement. So, now what I want to ask you real quick: modeling and acting. If you had to book one gig or the other, which gig is it you're going to book first? A modeling gig or an acting gig?
Well, it probably depends on what the gig is, I guess. Like
Sure.
I know some stuff I've done just because the money was there, like a lot of people do. This doesn't mean I didn't want to do, but sometimes kind of like, well, okay, maybe, or something that's new as well, like Desperate Souls. That was something I really wanted.
Mhm.
I think that was probably the one acting gig that I wanted most of anything else so far.
I see why, man, because of the depth of the characters that you guys are doing in that film. And yeah, it's a horror movie, but this really is a drama love story too.
Yeah, I don't smoke anymore, but I smoked. My character, I viewed my character as a smoker, but you never see him smoking. So
Mhm.
for a whole week, I smoked like 50 cigarettes just to get in that feel
Right.
and feel good when I smoked them. So it feels good not to smoke anymore. And I didn't wash my hair, I didn't shave or anything like that because that's just how this guy looks. I
Mhm.
just only washed my hair the one day for certain reasons that I won't get into, at least in film. Uh,
Yeah, when you see the film, you'll know exactly why he showered that one day.
it's just for curious reasons, and that's I'll just leave it there.
But it's amazing. Like, do you feel like when you are in a movie like that or something, do you feel like you want to go method on everything you do? Like when I'm not, this you may not see him smoking, but I'm gonna smoke to be that character. Is that method something that you are like kind of attached to? Is that something you feel like you would do for every role that you're a part of?
I try to do the best I can to deliver when I the best I can for anything I do. I know some people don't like method actors. I
Mhm.
don't understand that. Me personally, I think that just shows that you care more about what you're trying to do. It's not just like, oh, it's like some kind of job. You really care.
Right.
Like I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. I heard in Scarface that Al Pacino told everybody to talk to him in a Cuban accent so they could stay in character. Sure, okay, I will do it. No problem.
See, and that's me. I know of a couple people that when they're on set, even when they're in between takes, you don't call me Ken, you call me whatever my, what I'm the actor I'm portraying in this. Like that's I'm him while we're here. And I think that's a mad level of respect because, like you said, it shows your commitment to the craft that you're trying to portray.
I was just at a table yesterday for a film, and three actors didn't show up that said they were going to show up. And you know what that means? They're gone.
Yeah.
Thank God this
Well,
isn't the mob.
well, I mean, the thing is, if you're not showing up to the table read, how can I expect you to show up every day for filming?
That's what I mean. I mean, I get things do happen. I mean, I get, once in a blue moon. It happened to me a couple times, whatever.
Mhm.
But it becomes a habit, and you have no, you don't no answer about where you felt the face of the planet. You're going. I'm the same
And
way.
it's an industry that is very word of mouth. So once you get that, that reputation behind you, that's a hard one to get out of. So, if this is something you want, you got to prove you want it all the time, even during the little things.
It's like being married. I mean, I'm not married
Right.
anymore. Like we talked about before, and it's either you're in it or you're not. It's like, I don't feel like going to work today. Well, you know what? Production
Then you get
time.
fired.
It's not like working at a grocery store, which I used to work at. It's not like I'm going to play hooky and stay home with the wife because we're just kind of tired or however you do things. I don't want to miss Price is Right. Whatever on that too. But this is a whole different type of animal. You don't
Right.
play with something like that. It's not that kind of thing.
It's a huge team effort, and you need to be there to do your part.
Exactly.
And in order for you to be doing these type of films, Joe, the horror films like Blood Moon, Desperate Souls, horror had to start for you somewhere. So now, my friend, I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Joe, the first horror movie you watched was.
Sorry, I heard some noise outside. The first question will do is the first horror movie that I did do was Fleshfire by Cheevy's Films. Fleshfire is a short film that's part of the thing called a six pack of horror. So think of Creep Show. We got six different stories all in one film.
Mhm.
That one I played a guy named Ryan, and it was very easy to get in this particular character, but it was also kind of hard to get out of his mindset because it was just that pulled me right in.
Right.
He's the kind of guy where he thinks he's the best thing on three legs, and I tell it like that because it's fun, you know. But it's I don't really know what else to say without giving it away. The film, but I had a ball doing it. It was one of those productions like being on Desperate Souls where I didn't want to stop filming. I loved it so much. I couldn't wait to go back to the set next day. And the bummer, like every actor, I think, who loves doing what they're doing, well, that's a wrap. Well, now I don't like it.
Right.
And the best thing about it was the people that I got to work with. That made it even much more better. And that's where I actually
Hmm.
helped with magic.
Sure. And it's amazing to be able to go back and think about all these great times you had. Is there a place that people can watch that film?
It's in post production. See, we're waiting on another film. So we want all the films to be ready first before we release them all.
Okay.
Derek Brash, he's the director of it. It does the Chibi's films. He knows more about all that stuff. We were just talking about it the other day, as a matter of fact. I there's other there's different actors in every single one.
Right.
I know there's one that's still being worked on right now, but there will be an announcement when they're all ready to be released.
Okay. And like I said, guys, you can make sure to follow on social media to know when that is ready. So we know what the first horror film that you were in was, but what was the first horror movie that you had ever watched?
From my memory, I can't remember if I watched those Universal movies like The Wolfman or Frankenstein first. I can't remember, but I remember the one horror movie that always stuck with me. When I was 6 years old, it was an Italian movie. It was called Rats Night of Terror. It came out in like '83. It's one of those movies where my mother put it on. I remember exactly what it was. It was a Saturday night. She popped in the VHS player, and that's how far back we're going.
Mm-hmm.
It was like '96. I was in the first grade. And she falls asleep through it. I got stuck watching this thing, right?
Yeah.
And it scared me, but Jesus, like special effects and things like that. And it was a movie that scared me. I didn't watch it all the way until I was 15. And then I watched it again, and I went, "This scared me, really? This is terrible."
Well, it's
But
funny how that happens. Like when we're kids, the thought of, we've never seen anything like this before. So you're watching Rats for the first time, and then you watch it again as an adult. Once you've seen The Shining, Jaws, Halloween, and you're watching Rats again, and you're like, really? It was this? This is what got me so bad?
yeah,
And
yeah. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh
No,
well,
go ahead.
I bought the DVD because I still watch it every now and then because it's one of those movies. Like if I was a Mystery Science Theater, that'd be the first movie I play. And I actually
Right.
and I do it all the time. I love it with my own movies I used to watch sometimes. But I also love I don't know who the special effects person was. I don't know who the costumery was, but I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I wear that.
Well, it's one of those movies that it's dated. You could see going back and watching it, but at least they did use practical effects throughout the film. Do you remember as a young man which the scene was that affected you the most?
Let's see here. Well, there's two scenes. One's a little more adult, obviously. It's at 6 years old, going, oh, that's what that looks like. Okay. All right. And then I think it was the whole thing, really. Maybe the end scene, probably. It was one of those ones where I'm a kid, I'm still covering my eyes kind of thing at 6.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the very ending of the scene probably is what kind of did it for me at 6 years
Okay.
old. I was scared of bejesus on anybody, a 6-year-old little boy.
Especially if and I've said this 1,000 times, snakes, spiders, none of that stuff bothers me. I'm a country boy. I'm used to all that stuff, but still mice, rats scares the shit out of me. Like nothing scares me like those. And I don't know if it's from watching movies like this as a kid or movies like Willard, watching Willard as a young man probably did a little bit of it, but I'm telling you, there's something about mice and rats that just gets me. So, obviously right now in Hollywood, remakes, requels, sequels, that's kind of all the rage right now. Is Rats a movie that you would like to see done again today?
Absolutely not. I am not a fan of remakes. That being said, I have maybe like a small handful of remakes. I did like a Scarface. That is a remix, and people don't seem to realize. I do kind of like that. Will admit, I did enjoy the remake of Willard with Crispin Glover, but there's whenever I see a remake, it's kind of going, well, we know how that movie already goes. How
Right.
about I'd rather see an original idea that's garbage than see a remake. I mean, at least, okay, all right, I love the attempt. That's great. At least it's an original idea. Or
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see a movie that's already been kind of like, the movie before you see it already. And then it'll be like a remake or reboot.
Sure.
How many times are we going to remake A Star is Born? I know it's not a
And it's
horror
funny
movie,
because
but still.
even people now, they didn't know that that new one with Bradley Cooper and Gaga was a remake. I'm like, you guys know this isn't the first time this has been done. It's been done a couple times.
And the Twilight Zone, I love the Twilight Zone, and they've redone it like 2, 3 times now already, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is another movie. I love film noirs too. So there's a movie I always liked was Nightmare Alley with Tyrone Power actually, and they remade it. I got taken to the theater to see it. I'm going, okay, I know how this is gonna go. I mean, you're not gonna surprise me. I'm sorry. I know I'm pessimistic with this kind of thing, but this kind of, why? Why is I hear if you're gonna remaster, like I guess you're gonna remaster it. That way the picture's more clear versus a VHS or whatever. But reboot it or remake it. I don't see the need for a cell phone in the movie. I love the original Fright Night. I didn't see that they need to be remade. What's the matter with you?
Right.
That's how we
See,
talk.
no, you're good. For me, if I was doing if we're talking about remakes, my favorite type of remake is like Evil Dead 2013, The Thing 1982, Child's Play 2019. When you take that original idea and you flip it and you make it your own, that I can get behind. I love those. I'm not a huge fan of the scene for scene remakes like the Vince Vaughn Psycho or things like that. If I've already seen it, Nightmare on Elm Street, don't just take it and modernize it. If you're gonna do it, make it your own. Take that original idea and build around it. So we know you're not a huge fan of remakes, requels, and sequels, but my little buddy Ghostface is here, and he does want to know something that you are a fan of, Joe. What's your favorite scary movie, Joe? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Jesus Christ, I have to make a list here. I'll tell you what. Another remake I do like. I did like the remake of The Blob from 1980. That scared the crap out of me. I still love it. I do
Great
love that.
movie.
I do like that one. It doesn't have that teenager. Hey, we're all hot rods. We're all in love. Whatever from the '60s. Like no. I like the. Um. Oh, I know a movie that I guess you can probably call it a horror movie. I used to watch to death as a kid on cassette, at VHS. In case anybody here doesn't understand what that is. We used to have payphones and things like that.
It's funny you're talking about a payphone. Just the other day, a buddy of mine was like, I bet you Lex Luthor invented cell phones. That way we could get rid of payphones and Superman couldn't, or Clark Kent couldn't change into Superman anymore. I was like, that's brilliant. Little things like that, man. It's so great.
I used to watch all the time. I used to watch the Tremors all the time as a kid. That was cool. I don't call it a horror movie to me as much, but I actually just loved it for some reason. The second was more of a horror film than it was anything to me because it had a spooky sense, and I guess we could call it sci-fi horror if you want to go that direction. I loved Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
That was a movie that I knew from the script from back to front at 9. I'm actually Facebook friends with one of the cast members on there. Name is Linda Gail Scott. I think that's how you say her name. I'm bad with names, but that movie. My mom's like, watch it. You might like it. Well, I'm sure she was sorry because I watch it all the time, like every Friday.
It's funny because I've always said Tremors, like the first Tremors. I totally feel like that's a creature feature horror film. Like it's land Jaws.
It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's not scary, but it's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm not gonna lie though. As a little boy, there were definitely scenes that scared me. Like when they're out in that little area and they pick the hat up and it's Fred's head is underneath the hat. Like that scared the shit out of me as a kid, man. Or when Walter's trying to shut off the thing and the graboids get him on the back and he sits up and he goes down in the hole. Like that's another thing that really got me as a kid. So I'm a huge Tremors fan. I've seen every single one of them. I adore that franchise, man. I really do love it.
That I will say I do. That was a franchise I always loved. The second one to me scared me more though, because there's some scenes that were kind of spooky. They're out in the middle of nowhere at nighttime. You see, Pedro's truck is all beaten up and everything, and then they get those little screechers that don't really shriekers that don't really pick up on radar. They're like, wow, that's scary because they could be right there and they wouldn't even know it.
And then when they go to Pedro's truck and they see his arms on the back of the truck, and it pans over and he's not there, like, oh, dude, I could totally. Tremors is a franchise that is. There's very few weak moments in that franchise to me. Even the worst Tremors movies are awesome to me. I adore that franchise. So
I love the TV show. Too bad the TV show didn't last.
I know, like, and they even had the Kevin Bacon one, like they shot a pilot and everything, and they never did anything with it. I would love to see Kevin Bacon come back to this franchise.
Love Kevin Bacon. We were just watching Hollow Man the other day. I had a friend of mine, Mary. She'd never seen Hollow Man before, and I haven't seen it in 20 years.
Right.
Wow, God, how good this movie was.
Did you watch They Slash Them, the new slasher that had Kevin Bacon in it?
What's it called?
They Them. They Slash Them.
I never heard of it. Is it on like streaming?
Yeah, I believe it's on Peacock. It's back at a camp.
See it. I won't see it because I don't have anything. I got a tube TV. You're talking to a guy with a flip phone here, all right? I got a tube TV. I got a landline. I've got a DVD VHS player, and I wish people would just put stuff on regular TV or in the theaters. Like, hey, it's only on Tubi. I'm going, well, I'll never see that South Park episode now. The 2020 pandemic thing. I'll never see that.
Yeah.
No, I don't put it. If you want to see, you guys see on streaming only. Like, well, I'll buy the DVD copy.
I'm also a physical media guy because the big reason I think I will always be into physical media, there's two reasons. One, you're not going to come and pull it off my shelf like you're going to pull it off a streaming service. And once I have it, it's mine. And two, I'm a big special features guy. I like watching behind the scenes. I like listening to director commentary. Like, that's the type of stuff for me that's just so amazing. Like, to listen to how things are done and how, processes were done during the filming of the movie. Like, those are the things to me that are just super special. So I'm definitely a huge physical media guy for that reason.
Oh yeah, after being on these sets, now it's kind of like, now I watch the behind the scenes stuff. Now it's kind of like, wow. Because people ask me, this is how we did this and how we did that. Like, I did background for Chicago 7, and I'll tell you what, anybody who worked on that as a background just deserves a trophy or some kind of, at least a hot meal, which we never got.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, like, yeah, we did this, we did Ringing this day, that guy, this happened here. It was, I'm not going to say anything I shouldn't be saying, but it's just kind of like, yeah, you definitely should earn a trophy for doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing background anymore. I'm done with that stuff.
Right, because is it for reasons like that?
Well, it was during my first year, and I didn't know any better. What did I know about anything? But I had other things I'm not going to get into. I mean, I don't mind helping out once in a while, but for regards of background, like, I'm done.
Well, I mean, we got to eat too. Like, that's part of being alive. We got to be able to pay our rent and shit too. So,
well, I've had enough people not pay me too, and I had to go get my money.
Right. Well, with that accent, and you showing up on the door like, this is about enough of this. They're going to give you the money.
Yeah. Well, when you don't pay me, like I say many times to other people, thank God this ain't the mob.
Yeah, right. I mean, nobody wants to wear no concrete shoes in the ocean.
Well, you know how expensive concrete is now?
All right, man. Well, Joe, I've had an amazing time with you talking about your first horror movie you were in, the first horror movie you watched, your favorite horror films. But before I let you go, one question I always ask everybody, what we're going to do is we're going to bounce back to Rats. And what we're going to do is rank this on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking Rats on acting, production, score, nothing like that. What we're doing here, Joe, is strictly ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Joe, what would your ranking of Rats be?
When I first saw it, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We'll say 5. Scared the fucking hell out of me.
I knew it had to be, man. Like, when you're talking about how your mom fell asleep and you're up glued to the TV, like, and it started something for you. It got you started in the horror genre. It got you doing horror films. Got you doing everything that you're doing now. So, thank God for Rats. Something I never thought that I would say. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank God for it's by Bruno Mattei. If you really want to get any more detail, I mean, for a fun camping movie with, I will say, I've seen better acting from a corpse at awake type of acting. If you really want to be that mean about it. But
it's from '83. They'll forgive you.
I mean, just for the fun of it, just watch it. Just
right. Well, and I do want to say, guys, we are at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, I want to remind you that all of Joe's social media links are down here in the description, as well as the video we did on Desperate Souls, talking a little bit about the upcoming film and what they're doing there. So make sure you're checking all that stuff out as well, so you can support the film and support this guy himself. So, Joe, please don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, make sure you comment on the video, and follow us on social media so you can stay up to date on everything we're doing as well. Until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.